I was born in Queens, in a very small town in Bell Harbor, which is near the beach. And growing up, I lived in an area where I just thought everyone was Jewish. There were 3 synagogues, and you'd go to all the different ones on all the holidays. And I think that that was really my upbringing. And everything then changed when I went to college and found out there was a whole other world. And during that time, you would think more about how you would progress in Judaism. And I think that my personal growth came from the concept of Fiddler on the Roof. And I feel that now that I'm older than Tevye, I wasn't always, but I am now, that I really feel that for me personally, it's a lot about tradition. And I've made that a focus of our family life as far as celebrating holidays and trying to pull everyone together.
For me, there were 2 kind of key moments that I remember that really made a difference in my life. One, we lived in, at that point, Forest Hills, and so I was in nursery school. And I remember wandering away from my mother, I guess, into a meat market, very small, and they were having a service. I remember it was late afternoon, it was very small, and it felt very, very comfortable. Most of my growing up life was spent in a series of Reform synagogues, and I really never felt very close to anything. We moved to Connecticut after we got married, and we had friends across the street, the Rappaports. And Marlene Rappaport's mother belonged to the shul here, and I remember they had a card party one evening, and wandered across, realized that the synagogue was having troubles maintaining itself. And I kind of thought to myself, look, if I do one thing in this life, it's I want to see that the synagogue remains. I don't want it to die. And in the 40 years that we've been here, kind of worked toward that. Now we have a building, we'll have another building shortly, and we have a growing congregation, and it just feels really good.
From the very beginning of our arrival in Milford, and for many decades before Chabad even came upon the scene, the Satins have been dedicated and involved in so many aspects of the shul. In their quiet, unassuming, and humble way, they're there, they do what needs to get done, without fanfare, and they accomplish so much. Joseph is a no-nonsense kind of guy. When he sets out to do something, he will do whatever it takes to get it done. He gathers all the information, the files, the facts, and in his methodical way, he gets it done. Phyllis is such a sweetheart. She's just full of life, full of joy, full of fun, and her smile is infectious. Joseph and Phyllis have dedicated themselves to the rebuilding effort, and we know they won't stop till it happens.
Rather than vignettes of experiences shared, which are numerous, I prefer to describe Phyllis and Joseph with a quote from Zelda Fitzgerald, and it goes something like this. No one has ever measured, even poets, how much a heart can hold. When I think of the honorees, I must add the word love. No one has ever measured how much love a heart can hold. Oh my gosh.
It starts about 6 months ahead. And normally with a topic. Nothing that I've planned, just something comes into my head, and it just happened. It's interesting, it just happened today. So I kind of know what it's going to be about, what it's going to start with. Then over 6 months, I'll do reading and just think about it more. And then it gets written in about an hour and a half. It just comes out.
What was important to both of us, I know for myself, and I'm sure for you too, was the concept that everybody is welcome, and where there are insignificant dues, if any dues at all, and just the idea that people feel comfortable about coming and that it's very inclusive. I feel very comfortable, and I feel that there is a place for myself and that there is a place for everyone who's here. And I just love seeing the congregation growing, and that's been through the many years, the 40 years that we've actually been here and participating.
When I walk in, I feel calm. More so when we had the synagogue building. And I remember I always liked the idea of the pews, because you're forced to sit next to someone. So it's this idea of calmness, and you're with people, and there's a connection. Just really good feeling.
The significance of the shul staying around and continuing to grow is a feeling for me also, especially in this day and age of just where is Judaism in 2018 and going forward. And it seems that that the shul is a basis for a place for people to come and to feel closer to the community and closer to God, and it's a spiritual place, and I think that that's something that's very needed now, and I like to see that growing too, and I feel that this is an important place for this to happen for many people.
The space is really important to me, and what is it going to look like, and there are sketches at home and thoughts galore, and I can imagine 16 different things about what it's going to look like, or what it could look like.
So here we are in the upstairs. We'll go through the rooms in just a moment, but first let me show you what's really nice about this is that we have street level access coming around Benjamin Street onto Gillette Street. Anyone who visits can park their car on Gillette Street and enter street level right into our upstairs, where we have, and I will show you, right here we have what's going to be beautiful library and meeting room. You can have classes here. It's a really nice sized room. We'll have a beautiful library that was graciously dedicated by Rick and Debbie Epstein.
There is no doubt that we all love a great love story, but their love story is all about unified embrace with a third party, whether it be a neighbor, a family member, an employee, a dog, a bird, or, as we celebrate tonight, a cause. That is where their love shines. They hug life, and they hug it with passion, and they hug it with purpose, with great attention to whatever your story may be, whatever your story once was, or whatever your story is going to be. To all who have a home in the hearts of this couple, know you have received an extraordinary blessing, one to be echoed and cherished.